Let's start. 241, Chapter 11 Number. Analysis. Although praise is one of the most powerful tools available for improving young children's behavior, it is equally powerful for improving your child's self-esteem. Preschoolers believe what their parents tell them in a very profound way. They do not yet have the cognitive sophistication to reason analytically and reject false information. If a preschool boy consistently hears from his mother that he is smart and a good helper, he is likely to incorporate that information into his self-image. Thinking of himself as a boy who is smart and knows how to do things is likely to make him endure longer in problem-solving efforts and increase his confidence in trying new and difficult tasks. Similarly, thinking of himself as the kind of boy who is a good helper will make him more likely to volunteer to help with tasks at home and at preschool. MTC. Good job. MTC. Let's start. 241, Chapter 11 Number. 01. There is a reason the title Monday Morning Quarterback exists. Monday Morning Quarterback. Just read the comments on social media from fans discussing the weekend's games, and you quickly see how many people believe they could play, coach, and manage sport teams more successfully than those on the field. This goes for the boardroom as well. Students and professionals with years of training and specialized degrees in sport business may also find themselves being given advice on how to do their jobs from friends, family, or even total strangers without any expertise. Executives in sport management have decades of knowledge and experience in their respective fields. However, many of them face criticism from fans and community members telling them how to run their business. Very few people tell their doctor how to perform surgery or their accountant how to prepare their taxes, but many people provide feedback on how sport organizations should be managed. MTC. Good job. MTC. Let's start. 241, Chapter 11 Number. 02. The most noticeable human characteristic projected onto animals is that they can talk in human language. Physically, animal cartoon characters and toys made after animals are also most often deformed in such a way as to resemble humans. This is achieved by showing them with human-like facial features and deformed front legs to resemble human hands. In more recent animated movies, the trend has been to show the animals in a more natural way. However, they still use their front legs like human hands. For example, lions can pick up and lift small objects with one paw, and they still talk with an appropriate facial expression. A general strategy that is used to make the animal characters more emotionally appealing, both to children and adults, is to give them enlarged and deformed childlike features. MTC. Good job. MTC. Let's start. 241, Chapter 11 Number. 03. You may have seen headlines in the news about some of the things machines powered by artificial intelligence can do. However, if you were to consider all the tasks that AI-powered machines could actually perform, it would be quite mind-blowing. AI. One of the key features of artificial intelligence is that it enables machines to learn new things, rather than requiring programming specific to new tasks. Therefore, the core difference between computers of the future and those of the past is that future computers will be able to learn and self-improve. In the near future, smart virtual assistants will know more about you than your closest friends and family members do. Can you imagine how that might change our lives? These kinds of changes are exactly why it is so important to recognize the implications that new technologies will have for our world. MTC. Good job. MTC. Let's start. 241, Chapter 11 Number. 04. The human brain, it turns out, has shrunk in mass by about 10% since it peaked in size 15,000 to 30,000 years ago. 15,00030,00010. One possible reason is that many thousands of years ago humans lived in a world of dangerous predators where they had to have their wits about them at all times to avoid being killed. Today, we have effectively domesticated ourselves, and many of the tasks of survival, from avoiding immediate death to building shelters to obtaining food, have been outsourced to the wider society. We are smaller than our ancestors too, and it is a characteristic of domestic animals that they are generally smaller than their wild cousins. None of this may mean we are dumber. Brain size is not necessarily an indicator of human intelligence, but it may mean that our brains today are wired up differently, and perhaps more efficiently, than those of our ancestors. MTC. Good job. MTC. Let's start. 241, Chapter 11, Number 05. We usually get along best with people who we think are like us. In fact, we seek them out. It's why places like Little Italy, Chinatown, and Koreatown exist. But I'm not just talking about race, skin color, or religion. I'm talking about people who share our values and look at the world the same way we do. As the saying goes, birds of a feather flock together. This is a very common human tendency that is rooted in how our species developed. Imagine you are walking out in a forest. You would be conditioned to avoid something unfamiliar or foreign because there is a high likelihood that it would be interested in killing you. Similarities make us relate better to other people because we think they'll understand us on a deeper level than other people. MTC. Good job. MTC. Let's start. 241, Chapter 11, Number 06. The reduction of minerals in our food is the result of using pesticides and fertilizers that kill off beneficial bacteria, earthworms, and bugs in the soil that create many of the essential nutrients in the first place and prevent the uptake of nutrients into the plant. Fertilizing crops with nitrogen and potassium has led to declines in magnesium, zinc, iron, and iodine. For example, there has been on average about a 30% decline in the magnesium content of wheat. 30%. This is partly due to potassium being a blocker against magnesium absorption by plants. Lower magnesium levels in soil also occur with acidic soils, and around 70% of the farmland on Earth is now acidic. 70%. Thus, the overall characteristics of soil determine the accumulation of minerals in plants. Indeed, nowadays our soil is less healthy and so are the plants grown on it. MTC. Good job. MTC. Let's start. 241, Chapter 11, Number 07. An economic theory of Say's law holds that everything that's made will get sold. Say. The money from anything that's produced is used to buy something else. There can never be a situation in which a firm finds that it can't sell its goods and so has to dismiss workers and close its factories. Therefore, recessions and unemployment are impossible. Picture the level of spending like the level of water in a bath. Say's law applies because people use all their earnings to buy things. Say. But what happens if people don't spend all their money, saving some of it instead? Savings are a leakage of spending from the economy. You're probably imagining the water level now falling, so there's less spending in the economy. That would mean firms producing less and dismissing some of their workers. MTC. Good job. MTC. Let's start. 241, Chapter 11, Number 08. There have been occasions in which you have observed a smile and you could sense it was not genuine. The most obvious way of identifying a genuine smile from an insincere one is that a fake smile primarily only affects the lower half of the face, mainly with the mouth alone. The eyes don't really get involved. Take the opportunity to look in the mirror and manufacture a smile using the lower half your face only. When you do this, judge how happy your face really looks. Is it genuine? A genuine smile will impact on the muscles and wrinkles around the eyes, and less noticeably, the skin between the eyebrow and upper eyelid is lowered slightly with true enjoyment. The genuine smile can impact on the entire face. MTC. Good job. MTC. Let's start. 241, Chapter 11, Number 09. Although there is usually a correct way of holding and playing musical instruments, the most important instruction to begin with is that they are not toys and that they must be looked after. Allow children time to explore ways of handling and playing the instruments for themselves before showing them. Finding different ways to produce sounds is an important stage of musical exploration. Correct playing comes from the desire to find the most appropriate sound quality and find the most comfortable playing position so that one can play with control over time. As instruments and music become more complex, learning appropriate playing techniques becomes increasingly relevant. MTC. Good job. MTC. Let's start. 241, Chapter 11, Number 10. Each species of animals can detect a different range of odors. No species can detect all the molecules that are present in the environment in which it lives. There are some things that we cannot smell but which some other animals can, and vice versa. There are also differences between individuals, relating to the ability to smell an odor, or how pleasant it seems. For example, some people like the taste of coriander known as cilantro in the USA while others find it soapy and unpleasant. Cilantro, coriander. This effect has an underlying genetic component due to differences in the genes controlling our sense of smell. Ultimately, the selection of scents detected by a given species, and how that odor is perceived, will depend upon the animal's ecology. The response profile of each species will enable it to locate sources of smell that are relevant to it and to respond accordingly. MTC. Good job. MTC. Let's start. 241, Chapter 11, Number 11. Although it is obvious that part of our assessment of food is its visual appearance, it is perhaps surprising how visual input can override taste and smell. People find it very difficult to correctly identify fruit-flavored drinks if the color is wrong, for instance an orange drink that is colored green. Perhaps even more striking is the experience of wine tasters. One study of Bordeaux University students of wine and winemaking revealed that they chose tasting notes appropriate for red wines, such as prune and chocolate, when they were given white wine colored with a red dye. Bordeaux University. Experienced New Zealand wine experts were similarly tricked into thinking that the white wine Chardonnay was in fact a red wine, when it had been colored with a red dye. Chardonnay. MTC. Good job. MTC. Let's start. 241, Chapter 11, Number 12. Positively or negatively, our parents and families are powerful influences on us. But even stronger, especially when we're young, are our friends. We often choose friends as a way of expanding our sense of identity beyond our families. As a result, the pressure to conform to the standards and expectations of friends and other social groups is likely to be intense. Judith Rich Harris, who is a developmental psychologist, argues that three main forces shape our development: personal temperament, our parents, and our peers. Judith Rich Harris. The influence of peers, she argues, is much stronger than that of parents. The world that children share with their peers, she says, is what shapes their behavior and modifies the characteristics they were born with, and hence determines the sort of people they will be when they grow up. MTC. Good job.